All right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our SEO Happy Hour. I am Adriana Bujadin. I am SEO manager and coach for SEO professionals. Today, we have a blessing to have a speaker, Jahanbi Banerjee. So sorry about the surname. Definitely, I went wrong with that. But yeah, so I was really triggered by your story and your SEO journey. So I think definitely people who are joining this call will get the value, and you will share your experience, your recommendations, how to overcome some specific situations in the SEO journey. So thank you so much for taking a time and joining this call. And yeah, please feel to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. First of all, Adriana, thank you so much for this opportunity. And hello everyone. A bit of background about myself. So I'm originally from India and I've been living in London for 10 years now. And back in India, I was a copywriter in advertising. And when I moved to London, I was very intrigued to see how everything was digital, and that actually encouraged me to do a master's in digital media. And after that, I landed up in working as an exec in Publicis Media. So that was like kind of a stepping stone, and where I actually learned about search engine optimization and how it has evolved over the years. So currently, I worked with Publicis Media for 4.5 years, and now I'm working as a SEO manager with M6 and Partners, which is a part of Group M company. So it has been an amazing journey, and I got in touch with Adriana through Slack, and where she actually asked me about my journey. And I was very open about it because I felt that there are a lot of, whenever I have spoken to a lot of women, I have felt that they resonate with my experience a lot. And it actually, I don't feel any I would say, like, I don't feel any something pulling me back to talk about my challenges that I faced initially in the world of SEO. So what happened? I would like to start from the very beginning. So I had a manager, and kind of she was such a person. She was like very, like, when I actually entered, like when I got into SEO as an exec, it was very nice. The company, the team, the wider team, everyone was very welcoming. But then eventually, when I started learning about SEO, it kind of actually, me and my manager, we had kind of a very not so warm relationship. Like, she was a person who used to put me on spot, or in front of others, or even in front of like other colleagues, used to pinpoint me, saying that, oh no, this is what you're doing is completely wrong. This is the way that you should do. So that kind of I used to like completely freeze at times. And even when she was like, oh, you need to learn a lot of Excel in SEO. And as we know, as SEOers, that Excel is the place where we can actually work on the daily basis. And I was not so familiar with Excel that time, like VLOOKUP and concatenate and all those formulas. And she was like, oh, do this, do that. And I used to completely freeze that time. And I was like, my hands used to sometimes shake, and he was like, oh, where is your confidence gone? And you need to show more confidence. This is not the way that you should, when you present these things in front of the client, then it will be like, it doesn't create a good reputation and things. So that, like, slowly and slowly, like, that started becoming very frequent, and it eventually went to a certain extent where I kind of started hating her. And as a result, what happened was whenever I never used to ask any questions to her. So she was like, "Oh, why don't you ask me any questions?" And I'm like, well, I used to be like, yeah, no, I know the answer and things, like, I never used to be comfortable with her. And luckily, like, I would say, luckily, I had this another colleague who was under the same manager. And one day I kind of like almost in tears, and she understood my, like, my situation. And she was like, "Hey, what happened?" And I actually opened my whole, like, a kind of feelings to her. And she was like, "Oh, you know what, like, I've been through the same thing, and I've been dying to tell about this to someone else, but I can't. Like, I just go back home and share these things with my parents, with my brothers, but I can't even think of sharing these things with any of my colleagues." And there I kind of, I felt so kind, we started talking. It was not kind of a bitching, but then we started sharing our feelings. And at that point, I felt that, no, I'm not wrong. I have been doing these, everything in the correct way, but it's just like, that this person, she's so toxic, and she's making the whole environment and the relationship between a manager and exec so toxic that I can't even, think in a, like, in an open way. So that kind of affected my mental health. Like, it started getting so intense. And it went to a point, it was just before the pandemic. And we had like this like, thankfully, like, we had this reshuffling in the team. And I was given a chance of going to another team under Publicis Media, and the HR was like, "Hey, we have got an opportunity for you. What do you think about this?" And I'm like, well, it just, my mind spoke, like, you know what, like, I can do anything to get out of this team at that point. So I kind of like took that step. I don't know, like, I knew the brands that I was working with, but then I just took that step. And since that day, like, it has been a overall changing. Like, I was under a manager who was like so good. And I learned so many things from her, like from the team, from my head, like everyone in that team was, so I could see the difference, like from where I was coming, from where I had come. And it was like, this is where I belong. And there, that is when I actually started to open and really, like, my manager was like, "Oh, don't worry, like, just present it. You will make mistakes, but it doesn't matter. Like, you are here to learn. I am here to, if even if you make mistakes, that's not a problem. I can actually teach you how to do that." So that was kind of pushing, kind of like so encouraging that I never felt embarrassed. I never felt scared after that. And I learned so much that at one point I was kind of, I actually, like, started, like, I had that comparison, like, oh my God, like, and I had this in my mind, when I become a manager, then I'm actually going to be like my current manager and not like my ex-manager. So that, and even like when I was, when I went on my maternity leave, I got a promotion. And during my maternity leave, which is very, like, not expected in, very few people or employees, actual employers care about you at that point of time. So I got a promotion. She was constantly in touch with me. My head of the team was constantly in touch with me, saying that, hey, we have a new, like, if they were hiring someone or if they have a new account or something, they kept me in loop and I felt included in that way. And when I came back, my transition was so good. It was a smooth transition. I started with 3 days, and then, like, it was all in my mind saying that, oh, what will they be thinking about it? But then when I actually moved back, they were like, we can do anything to actually make you feel comfortable in this team. So take your time. And finally, last year, in January 2023, I started working full time, and it was a very difficult time to leave. Like, I actually switched jobs in March, but then it was a very difficult time for me, like very emotional, because that was where I had learned so much about SEO. I was confident. I knew, how to crack the questions about SEO in front of the clients, and I had learned so much. So it was very difficult for me to leave them, but I knew, and when I actually gave them this news that I have decided to move on, they were so happy. So it was always like a learning thing, like that, how a team should be, and how, an exec can actually, when you leave a team, that's not the end. You can still be in touch with your ex-colleagues. I'm in touch with my ex-colleague till, till to date. So it was really kind of, now that I have moved on, like I'm handling amazing clients, like I have an amazing manager, and who, again, like I was kind of talking about it, and she was like, oh, you know what, even I had that kind of a manager who used to micromanage me all the time. And that is kind of something you always, a lot of people in the industry resonate, not only in SEO, but in each and every industry people go through. And I feel it's really sad, but I feel that it's, again, people shouldn't give up then and there. People should take it as a learning curve for them, because the bigger picture is still like somewhere there. It's not like, that manager who is creating a toxic environment is the issue, but you can learn so much out of that, and you can evolve as a person, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, at present, I'm really happy that I had, and I have decided that I will never be that kind of a person ever. And that is like my past. And I'm like, okay, that's absolutely fine. Whatever I've been through, I am not letting someone else go through the same thing ever. So that's kind of my journey overall. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is very interesting, because when I started a new job as a SEO consultant, actually team lead bullied me, and like I almost forgot until Jahanbi mentioned that, and I said like, oh my God, that happened to me. Like my brain started to just like forgetting that because of the shock and like all these things. And Jahanbi, I really want to address something that you didn't mention, and I remember from like these initial calls that we were talking about, and those are the feelings on the daily basis that you were having during this toxic relationship. Firstly, how long had you under that manager, and like what have you felt on daily basis before you didn't realize that actually there is a way out?
So I was under her for more than 2 years. And so on daily basis, I was literally used to be very scared, from and that feeling of like, looking at my colleague and be able to express her, but not to my manager. That was kind of tough. And it almost, I took it used to create such tensions in my whole mind that I used to even be scared of talking in front of other like colleagues of mine, like, they like, even if when she used to be there, when we are talking, when we are just having like talking normally, I used to be like quiet. And those, like, those little, like, I didn't realize at that time, but then I realize it now, that how scared I used to be of her. And also, like, I didn't have anyone to go to and talk, like, like we have, like, we always tell that the HR is there, or even if the HR is not, like, the head is there, the head of the team. But it's sad that as an exec, like, I felt that, oh my God, like, I'm so junior, what if I'm kicked out of the job? I'm like, I really want to be in this company, learn about SEO, but what if, it backfires me? So it was a very vulnerable kind of a situation where I felt, um, like neglected, where I felt kind of like, this wasn't kind of the like kind of a place that I expected to be in. So yeah, I mean, that was really not worth it. Yeah, at that point of time. Yeah.
Yeah, because usually these situations are happening in the like first role of the SEO when people are so vulnerable, like when they are feeling that they are not good enough, and then upper management, they are feeling that they have the power. And especially here, it's very interesting to see that people have fear, and they are thinking that like just speaking to HR or speaking to upper management is not an option because that will be immediate fired.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to encourage people who are having these issues just like currently, or prevent from the future, like what can they do? And if we are addressing the feelings what they have on the daily basis, so we understand them, like definitely fear is one of them, definitely stress is one of them. So what would you change and what would you do differently now if you are in that situation?
First of all, what I would actually do is, I wouldn't be like, that scare was inside me. It was not anyone that had created that scare. Like, it was in, like, it was my kind of feeling. There wasn't, like, my manager didn't create that feeling for me. So I, if I had that chance, I would have spoken to one of the senior team members, first of all, and the team, that, oh, see, listen, this is the situation that I am, I'm overcome, like, I want to overcome, and I want to actually, I'm facing at the moment, and what should I do? And even if that senior um, member wouldn't have taken a step of talking, or like, like helping me in that way, then I would have spoken to the HR, because um, there's a lot of like less awareness about this, that even the execs can actually go and talk to the HR team and let them know that they are facing this kind of a situation, because there is so much of mental awareness at the moment. People, like, throughout pandemic, there was like mental well-being and stuff, like, people, companies were like encourage their employees to go for a walk, like take a half an hour or a 1 hour break and stuff. So it's not only that break is important, but it is also like, someone can actually talk to a people group or something, where if they are facing any mental issues, or what is creating that issue for them in the company. So that is, I think, I would have done now, if I like, I make sure to tell my exec who's under me that, listen, if you want to talk about anything to me out of work, I'm always there. So that makes a huge difference to her at moment she's like, oh wow, like, I'm like, of course, like, let's go out for a, like, just take a walk and have coffee or something. And it just opens, that it's not that you have to be like only working, but it just gives you that dimension as to that, no, it is not, you can also talk to your employees, your employees are there to support you, you're not only working with them.
Yeah, because if you are too much in this situation and like you are more focused on the problem than on the solution.
Yeah.
So if you are taking a step back and just like taking that dimension, then you are seeing another options. And definitely if people are having this situation and they are afraid to talk with a manager, with a HR, with any kind of like team members, definitely, I wouldn't say like there is no bad decision that they can go with, because like even they are talking with the HR and they are getting like no or something. Usually people in this situation, they are thinking that nobody will believe them. So because like they are new and these people are more senior and like they are more with the company, so if I'm saying something, probably people will not believe them. And then like the biggest fear is being fired. But I would just bring this perspective. Would you rather be fired after 3 months at that kind of like toxic relationship workplace, or maybe after 2 years? Because definitely these kinds of things, like they will not ever stop. So even in the end, like what can be the worst happen to you is actually being fired. But that is the best actually decision and like the answer that you can get, because like you will find a new job and with a healthier like workplace and everything, so you can grow. Because in this kind of situation you can't grow, you're impacting your mental health and everything is going down. So just I would like to encourage people to also think in this way, because yeah, when you are just seeing like this option, oh, they will fire me, hey, let's see like what actually is the worst thing here. So also you mentioned that you were talking with another team member, and then you find out that actually the similar situation happened to her. What has been changed on daily basis when she knows, but still other team members and HR and the head didn't know? Like what was the difference between these two, I would say, like periods?
So like, I mean, talking to my colleague was kind of letting out my feelings, kind of letting out my, um, it was not kind of not complaining about her, about my manager, but then it was kind of just having that comfort, having that person to actually, where you can actually talk about it, and you can, it's not a good feeling when you can't, it's not a good feeling when you can't talk to your colleagues. So I was really lucky, and for me, I felt, and I have like, this thing that I don't want to give up just for this person. Like, it's absolutely a personal choice, but for me, I didn't want, for this particular manager, I didn't want it to give up. I was like, it will be completely unfair on my part, because I'm leaving for her, rather than, I just move her aside and decide to, go ahead with my career, my choice. So it depends, completely depends on person to person. I'm not saying that if you are meeting any toxic person, you are not free to walk out of that job. You're definitely free to walk out of that job. But for me, I was like, no, if, and eventually she left the company and I got shifted to another team. So it was, things like, there were certain things planned for me, and I am glad that I didn't give up at that time. And having like, so as I said, like having a colleague always gives you that comfort to talk to, but it I definitely wouldn't have, I did definitely at that time I didn't have the courage to talk to the HR or to the head of the team at that time. And that is one kind of like, why? Because I was scared, that's why. But that is not a solution. Like I suffered. So it's, I try to make it easy for others that they can actually speak out or reach out to people. Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually a good point, like speaking up, because definitely there are some team members, even like if you are talking with the first team member and for any kind of reason they are not listening to you, definitely there is another team member and another one, and like definitely you will find that one. So then I really liked about your story after you had a break and had a baby when you turned to your company. How was that feeling? Like, did you experience any kind of like different priorities during your day and work? Like how that felt?
I so I had, I mean, I thought a lot. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, when I actually break out the news that I'm pregnant, it's going to be that a different reaction. But then I come, like, my manager and my whole team was so happy for me. And it wasn't that, oh, you're pregnant, so don't work kind of a thing, or don't, like, finish, try to finish. So it was my choice. I was given that, no, you know your body, you know your priorities. So if you need a break, you are free to do so. If you have some hospital appointments, you're completely, like, allowed to go. You can go, you can take as much as leave as you want. But it's not, it didn't affect till the time I went to my maternity leave that, oh no, we are taking this client from you, and we are giving you some easier jobs or things like that. It wasn't like that. So yeah, I mean, that, yeah, as I said, like, my team, when I actually moved into a different team, it was absolutely brilliant team. So yeah, I had an amazing experience then. Yeah.
And you got your team now, so you are managing
Yeah.
people, right? So let's talk a little bit around it, because I'm feeling that especially like as you professionals who felt in this way at one point of time, they
Mm-hmm.
are now overprotecting their team members that they are report to,
Yeah.
just not to feel the same way they did. So do you do the same, or?
Interesting question, Giuliana. But I'm not, I try not to be overprotective because I want them to experience not the same thing, but like the usual, the day-to-day things. But then what I have found, I've worked with a lot of execs and apprentices so far in SEO, and they are like brilliant. They are really smart guys. Like, the millennials, I would say, these days, like, they are so uh they think in a very different way. And if there is a situation, I'm just pretending that, like, I'm just thinking, but then if there is a situation like I was in, I don't think they will tolerate that, because they know that that's wrong. So but my team, I am always like, I have catch-ups with them one-to-one, or like, whenever I'm actually going into office and talking to them. So it's kind of a very like a like, I don't see as a boss and a kind of that kind of a relationship, but it's a colleague relationship, and where we are learning things together. And one thing that I always tell them, that do not be scared to ask questions. Like, no question is a silly question or a stupid question. So you can ask as much as you want, and because that's how you learn. things. So it's kind of, we talk about movies, we talk about music. So it's kind of, you develop through those culture, this kind of a culture. It's not that you only focus on work, and when the work is done, you get out of the office. It's not that. So I kind of believe in having that kind of a relationship with my seniors as well as my juniors as well. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I love millennials because they are so different from us. And in some weird way, I'm just like so inspired by them because they are something that I have never been in their ages. So I'm kind of a little bit jealous, like, hey, why I didn't do it a certain way? Like they are so powerful.
Yeah.
So all right, and the last point that I really want to address here is actually moving forward to another job position when you are already in the place that you like. So, what was the decision process? Can we talk a little bit about the feelings that you were experiencing during this decision and how it went?
So from the only decision process was I wanted to grow. And though, my company has given me a lot of opportunity for me to grow, but then we know, that different companies has a different way, like certain way of working in SEO. So, and when you move to a different team, you have uh, different people working in different way for SEO, because SEO is, there's nothing certain in SEO. So I wanted to experience that, because 4 years, it's a long time. I have worked in a way with clients, and I have dealt with in a certain way with clients, and I got a bit comfortable with that. And I wanted to challenge myself. So a lot of thought came into it. And finally, when I actually got this opportunity, I was like, okay, let's give it a try. I wasn't even, serious. I was like, okay, let's see, what happens. And I got this job, and yeah, here I am. It's again, it's two different agencies, different kinds of people, but working in different ways. So that is where, again, I have a set of expertise that they want me to deliver, and it is kind of my thought process that I do my work. So that is, I enjoy that in SEO. I don't know what's there in the future for me, but then I kind of love it at the moment.
Yeah, and I can see whenever you're talking about the new job, like you're smiling. So
Yeah.
So yeah, and taking in consideration all all these SEO journey steps that we mentioned, like there are just few of them. Definitely you had more challenges, more things, but definitely when you are having this big challenge, even you are breaking or you are growing so much for it. So do you think, would you be a different person now if you didn't or did had that situation in the past?
Um, I mean, I would have been different, maybe if I wouldn't have experienced such a person in my life. Honestly, I don't have any grudges for her, towards her. But then, yeah, of course, my I think my thinking would have been different. If I wouldn't have experienced, and I wouldn't be so open to talk, or so that others don't go through the same situation that I went through. So I wouldn't be thinking in that way. So I don't think so. I would have been I'm still the same person that I am. But yeah, that experience just makes you think compassionately towards your colleague. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think all these experiences are actually make you stronger and more successful, actually, because you did something that was very hard and actually you overcome it.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for this SEO story and SEO journey. So definitely I would like to encourage people who are here, if you have any questions related to this topic, related to Jahanbi story or any challenge that you are facing now, if you would like to share with us.
I actually wanted to mention you because I saw Laura nodding her head quite a lot when I was actually sharing my experience. But yeah, please go ahead.
No, I just wanted to sort of thank you for sharing this. It's brave. I mean, not a lot of us are comfortable to open up about an abusive former manager, because LinkedIn and other scenarios where they can still be in touch, and once you experience that kind of sort of abuser behavior from someone that you have to deal with every day, it does stay with you a bit. It's unfortunate, but we do drag it along. So yeah, I could I could relate to your story quite a bit. Nothing to add really. Adriana, you've asked the questions like you've asked exactly the sort of questions I was thinking about as well. And yeah, I just want to thank you. That was nice. I mean, not nice, but it was useful to hear from someone else. And that's doing so well now as well for themselves, and they manage their own team, and obviously you're past that now. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, actually, Laura took a great word here. It was very brave, because that is something that we are lacking so much.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure we're all millennials. I was thinking we're all in our 30s, right?
You mean millennials?
Yeah.
Yeah, 30s, right?
Yeah. I was thinking because it technically ends in 1994, so I'm thinking we're all born before that.
Not all.
Yeah.
No? Yeah, I'm 89 here, so I class as a millennial apparently.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah, but then I'm actually like talking about people who are fresh out from universities, literally, or they have been in kind of a retail job or kind of, and this is like their first job where they are experiencing office and colleagues and like sitting and together. So I was kind of referring them, and yeah, I mean, I find them really powerful. Like they're amazing. Yeah.
100%. When you have to deal with a very horrible customer. I've done retail myself, so
Yeah, just go with them.
I paid my dues, yeah.
Nice. All right, any questions? More or any story that you would like to share here?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like, yeah, Laura or Zlata, feel free to jump in.
I think that her story is really inspiring for a lot of people who are just the similar characters as her, who will listen to some talks and then freeze and then do not react and then got in the loop all the time. So and don't see the way out in the end. So this is really, really good for the people who are just the similar characters and who are in similar situations. So I think that she dealt very good in the way she did, and that's why she got that kind of new stuff, and she advanced in her career because she find a way to deal and to be in the peace with herself. She didn't want to quit the job because she felt she don't want to quit the job. It's not just the financial, it's just she didn't want to see herself as a quitter. That's the way I understood her situation. So I think that's really, really good for her and for people to listen to this and then to learn from this.
Yeah, but also learnings can help them to actually not to be in this situation for 2 years, to
Yeah.
reduce this period like dramatically. So so yeah, that's the value.
Yeah, that's actually like I'm again and again. That was really kind of not good for me to be in that toxic culture for so long. But then yeah, if you like just speak up, like try, and there is no harm in speaking up. People won't fire you just like that. It's not easy. It's not that easy to fire people. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very hard to think that they will not fire, because
Yeah.
you're only thinking that actually whatever you say, like they will fire you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
all right. So if we don't have any questions, thank you so much for taking time for joining this call. I think we provided a lot of value here for people who are currently facing this, and to prevent to not happen again. And now you have kind of like tools how you can handle this. And that is actually the goal of SEO Happy Hour, to talk about the challenges and provide a platform for SEO women to say how they grow from this situation and help others. So thank you so much, and see you next Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.